Peppa Pig has a dad problem. We know this. We covered it. 7 missing fathers hiding in plain sight across 20 years of episodes. But here's the thing nobody has talked about yet. The show has an equally strange situation on the other side of the family tree. Because while everyone was busy asking where all the dads went, the mums have been quietly disappearing too. And in some cases, the absences are just as strange, just as long, and just as unexplained as anything we found on the dad side. So today, we are going back in. Same show, same mystery, different parent. We are finding every missing mum in Peppa Pig, looking at the evidence, going through the theories, and trying to figure out whether this is intentional storytelling, a representation choice the show is making deliberately, or whether the writers simply keep forgetting that some of these children need a mother. Let us get into it. The first case is Danny Dog. Danny has been in Peppa Pig since the early seasons, one of the core group of friends, appearing regularly across the show's entire run. He lives with his family, and both his parents technically exist. Mummy Dog has appeared and has a voice actress. Captain Dog, his dad, is away at sea for much of the show before retiring in season 4. Granddad Dog runs the garage and takes Danny sailing and functions as a constant presence in his life. So where is the absence? It is generational. Granddad Dog is Danny's grandfather, which means somewhere in this family tree there are 2 parents for Captain Dog himself. Granny Dog has appeared. But the question of who raised Captain Dog on his mother's side and what Mummy Dog's own family looks like opens gaps the show has never tried to fill. More strikingly, for a child whose grandfather is more present and characterized than almost any other extended family member in the show, the question of why Granddad Dog is so central to Danny's daily life has never really been answered. His dad was at sea. His mum exists, but rarely registers. And Granddad Dog quietly became the most important adult in Danny's world, without the show ever explaining how that happened. Next is Pedro Pony. Pedro is another core group member who has been present since early in the show's run. His dad, Mr. Pony, is an optician, one of the more recognizable adult characters who shows up regularly and appears at school events. Pedro's mum, Mummy Pony, does technically exist and has appeared more than once. She rushes Pedro to playgroup, helps him practice lines for the school play, and is listed as friends with Mummy Pig. On paper, she is present. But here is the thing. She is a minor character in a way that Mr. Pony simply is not. She has had multiple voice actresses across different series, which usually signals a character the show has never fully committed to. She shows up when the plot requires a parent to physically move Pedro somewhere and then disappears again. Mr. Pony has a profession, a personality, a Scottish accent, and a recurring presence. Mummy Pony is the parent who gets Pedro to the bus on time. For a child who appears as regularly as Pedro does, the gap between how developed each parent is on screen is the real story here. Not an absence exactly. More like one parent who was built into the world and one who was left as a placeholder. Zoe Zebra's situation is worth its own investigation. Zoe has a fairly developed family by Peppa Pig standards. Her dad appears. She has twin baby sisters called Zuzu and Zaza. There is a Grandpa Zebra who shows up occasionally. The family feels relatively fleshed out compared to some of the more mysterious cases in the show, and yet Zoe's mum is almost entirely absent across the series. Almost entirely is doing important work in that sentence. Because like Pedro's mum, Zoe's mum has technically appeared. But the appearances are so infrequent and so lacking in any real characterization that she feels less like a parent and more like a placeholder. The show has built out Zoe's family in multiple directions while consistently treating her mother as the least important member of it. Her dad is present. Her sisters are present. Her grandpa is present. Her mum is theoretically present but functionally invisible. Freddy Fox is a slightly newer addition to the Peppa Pig universe, but his family situation follows the same pattern we keep finding. Freddy appears with his dad. His dad is established as an active presence in his life. His mum is nowhere. No appearances, no mentions. No explanation offered for where she is or whether she is involved in Freddy's life at all. At this point in the investigation, it is starting to feel less like individual oversights and more like a recurring creative decision that the show keeps making without ever acknowledging it is making it. Because that is the pattern emerging across all of these cases. Dad present, characterized, active. Mom absent, unmentioned, unexplained. It is the mirror image of the dad problem, but pointing in the opposite direction. And it raises the same question that the missing dads raised. Is this intentional? Is the show deliberately representing single-parent families in both directions? Or is something else happening here entirely? The cases we have covered so far are strange. What comes in next gets stranger. Gerald Giraffe is one of the more distinctive characters in Peppa Pig's supporting cast. Hard to miss, given the obvious visual. He is Peppa's classmate, appears regularly across multiple seasons, and has a dad who shows up with enough consistency to feel like an established character in his own right. Daddy Giraffe is there, present, accounted for. Gerald's mom, however, follows the pattern we have been tracking across this entire investigation. She is not there. No appearances. No mentions. No moment in any episode where the show acknowledges that Gerald has a mother at all. For a character who has been in the show long enough to have genuine recurring presence, the complete absence of his mom on one side of the family while the other side is actively represented is exactly the kind of asymmetry that stops feeling accidental after you have seen it enough times. At this point, we have tracked this same structure across enough characters that it has stopped being a coincidence and started being something the show is doing repeatedly and consistently without ever drawing attention to the fact that it is doing it. Danny Dog, Pedro Pony, Zoe Zebra, Freddie Fox, Gerald Giraffe. Different species, different seasons, different levels of prominence in the show. The same pattern running through all of them. One parent visible and active. The other parent gone without explanation. But the missing mom situation goes beyond the children's immediate parents. Because just like the dad investigation uncovered missing grandfathers and extended family members who should exist but do not, the mom investigation has its own version of that problem. Daddy Pig's mom has never appeared. We know Daddy Pig has parents because he has a brother. Uncle Pig exists. Uncle Pig and Daddy Pig are brothers, which means somewhere in this universe there is a woman who gave birth to both of them. She has never been seen, never been mentioned. The show has given us Granny and Grandpa Pig with full characterization and regular appearances, but those are Mummy Pig's parents. Daddy Pig's side of the family is a void. His father does not appear. His mother does not appear. And unlike the children's missing parents, where you can at least construct a theory about separation or absence, there is no obvious explanation for why Daddy Pig's entire parental lineage has been erased from the show's universe. He and Uncle Pig appear to have simply arrived fully formed, with no family history behind them whatsoever. Then there is the Sheep family. We covered the missing dad situation in Susie Sheep's family in our previous video. The complete absence of any male sheep across Susie's entire extended family. But the mom investigation reveals something on the other side of that same family that is almost as strange. Granny Sheep appeared in Series 8 and has been a presence since. But Granny Sheep's husband, the paternal grandfather on that side of the family, has never appeared. Which means we now have a sheep family situation where one grandmother is present and established, one grandfather is completely absent, Susie's dad has never appeared, and the family tree on the male side is essentially empty across 2 generations. And then there is Charlotte Sheep, Susie's 17-year-old cousin who shows up to family events independently with no parents in tow. Her parents are listed on the wiki as Uncle Sheep and Aunt Sheep. Neither of them has ever appeared in the show. Not the uncle, not the aunt. Charlotte simply exists as a teenager floating through the sheep family's social life with no visible parental unit attached to her. She is 17, so the show clearly feels she does not need supervision. But the complete absence of both of her parents across every appearance she has ever made is another data point in a pattern that keeps expanding the more you look at it. So what is actually happening here? There are 2 reasonable explanations, and the truth is probably somewhere between them. The first is that the show is making a deliberate representation choice. Single-parent families are common. Children raised by grandparents are common. Families where one parent is absent for whatever reason, work, separation, circumstances, the show does not need to explain, are part of the real world that the children watching Peppa Pig actually live in. By populating the show with families that look different from the standard two-parent household, without drawing dramatic attention to those differences, the show normalizes those family structures for the children watching. Danny Dog lives with his granddad, and it is just normal. Susie Sheep has no dad in the picture, and it is just normal. Nobody makes it a storyline. Nobody explains it heavily. It is just the way things are for those characters, the same way it is just the way things are for some of the children watching. The second explanation is simpler and more chaotic. The show has been running for 20 years across hundreds of episodes with multiple writing teams working across different series. Characters get introduced, their families get sketched in broadly, and then the details that were never fully established simply never get filled in because nobody went back to check. Daddy Mouse appeared twice. Mr. Bear appeared once to eat porridge. These are not carefully maintained mysteries. They are gaps that formed in the architecture of a very long-running show and were never repaired because the show kept moving forward without looking back. The honest answer is probably both. Some of the missing mums feel intentional. Some of them feel like oversights that accumulated over 2 decades of production. And some of them, like Danny Dog's mum or Daddy Pig's mother, sit in a space where the absence is so complete and so consistent that it starts to feel like a decision even if nobody ever made it explicitly. So there it is, the missing mums of Peppa Pig. Danny's mum, who Granddad Dog never mentions. Pedro's mum, who technically exists, but barely. Zoe's mum, who the show treats as optional. Freddy's mum, who is simply gone. Gerald's mum, Daddy Pig's mother, who apparently never existed. And the entire sheep family's complicated relationship with having visible parents on either side of the tree. The show has been running for 20 years. It has introduced hundreds of characters. And somewhere in the gap between who those characters are and where they came from, an entire generation of Peppa Pig mothers quietly disappeared. Which missing mom do you think is the strangest? Let us know in the comments. And if you missed our video on the missing dads, it is linked right here. Subscribe for more Peppa Pig mysteries, and we will see you in the next one.